Today I wanted to take a look at several U.S. trade dollars. It's a series that many collectors in the U.S. Don't have examples of in their collection. It was a really short run from 1873 to 1878, and most of these coins were exported overseas for trade with Asia. So you see Liberty seated here. She's actually sitting on a bale of cotton, and then there's a sheaf of wheat next to her, just showing some of our agricultural exports and our commercial interests at the time. A really nice design. I mean, kind of bridging that gap between the seated Liberty dollar and then the introduction of the Morgan dollar in 1878. Several different mints made these coins. Philadelphia, San Francisco, and Carson City. And a lot of the silver came from some of the western states in the U.S. as they mined large quantities of ore in this period. The really beautiful original piece with CAC approval. A lot of these have survived, particularly in the last couple years of the series, but to survive in a original condition without being dipped or cleaned is very uncommon. So I really like this piece. This coin is probably in the $900 range right now with CAC. So definitely expensive, but there are, just this eye appeals. You kind of pay up for an example like that. On the reverse, you see it says trade dollar at the bottom, and then 420 grains of 90% fine silver with the mint mark below there. A really cool piece, and yeah, this series, not many people collect by date and mint mark. There's a couple really tough Carson City years in here, and when you see these, you're generally going to see a 77 or 78S in auctions and things, but these are very heavily counterfeited, so I would say try not to buy a raw example, or if you do, just become really familiar with different die characteristics before you do that. Many of these coins were exported, and I have another piece here showing chop marks from a merchant who stamped essentially their guarantee, the weight and purity of the metal. This is a nice AU piece as well. When I look at this one, I think there's definitely a chance that it was wiped or dipped a long time ago, but it's got a nice look to it. There's some underlying luster there, and a really nice piece overall. I mean, if it was tampered with in any way, it was pretty minor and a long time ago. PCGS will put them in these thicker slabs when they're chop marked oftentimes, because the coin will kind of have a, it's being punched into with those marks, so it'll bulge out sometimes. But finding a nice chop mark coin, these have become a lot more popular in recent years, and I think the services used to mark them, details, grades, and chop mark, and they've stopped doing that. So you get a non-details coin that they will grade and just mark chop mark. So these are also pretty heavily counterfeited, so it's worth getting them certified or buying certified. People will counterfeit the chop mark, so just something to be aware of. A really fun series, and historic coinage in the US, and a pretty beautiful coin. I really like these dollar-sized pieces that are just easy to see without magnification, and original pieces like this will always be popular with collectors. Thanks for watching.